Hi, everybody. I'm Jess. Welcome to Anime Book Club. Today will be our end of winter 2021 stream. We are at the end of, I think, all but 1.5 of the series that we've been following, and I'll describe what I mean by a half in a little bit. But hey, Erik, maybe you should join me. I feel like that's a good seg. Hey, Erik, how's it going?
Good, going good. Dropped out for a split second.
Yeah, you like froze on me there for a second, but you're good now. Our show will be a little bit shorter today, probably because we already finished about 4 different of the other shows that we've been following for the season. But we did do 2 spin the wheels this week, so that we'll get to those. One of them is terrible.
One of the shows was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Next season, we're going to either start next week or the week after. We're kind of doing some investigation on how many shows are going to be out. You can give suggestions on what you want to be on our magical wheel at the bit.ly link on the bottom of the screen right now. There's a couple of restrictions. It can't be pornographic. It has to be available on Crunchyroll, Verve, or Funimation. And you can see it on the form. But you can make suggestions at any point between now and, let's say, next week. And we may take them, we may not. It just depends. And please don't suggest anything that we've already seen. Like, if it's really popular, guess what? We've probably already seen it. If both of us have already seen it.
We're not going to do My Hero.
Nah, we're not doing My Hero. So yeah,
That's just asking for people to spoil things in the chat.
Yeah. Yeah. Dr. Stone. So we had our last episode of Stone Wars chapter. Next we've got the Seafaring chapter coming soon, where they cross the ocean.
Yeah, they just like putting the main characters into like different outfits because like but like a couple episodes ago we got to see everybody in their like train conductor clothing. Into this episode we got to see everyone with their pirate ship outfits on.
I believe that you're missing the most important part. We got to see Kohaku's sweet ass.
The internet went crazy over that one.
Yeah. This episode was the same kind of hand-wavy pseudoscience crap that doesn't actually hold up to real science. That's what Dr. Stone is. They try to dress it up how much they love science, but this one was full of a bunch of crap that some of it doesn't even make internal sense to the show, okay?
It's fine.
It's not fine for me, but okay. So you've got now Tsukasa is on everybody's good side because we've revived his sister, who looks like a child, even though she was in a coma for like something like 6 or 7 years because Tsukasa grew up. But yet she still looks like she's a child. Okay, let's roll with that. And then she had
I think she's like 11. I think she's like physically 11 now.
You saw her in the bed and she looked exactly the same, and then you saw Tsukasa grow up. It's like, if you're in a coma, you still age, it's not like you don't age, but whatever. And then we magically fixed her in the last episode by unfreezing her, which fixed her coma, even though there's no explanation of that whatsoever, because the Medusa effect is now pretty, as you mentioned, OP. They're putting all the people back together that Tsukasa broke, but if they're missing a few pieces, it's okay. We're just gonna hand wave that away, even though we said before that
that's kind of weird. Like if you're missing a few pieces, like that's like, oh, you're missing like a heart valve. You can't just you can't just move on. You can't just say, oh, he didn't need it.
Yeah, so like, that doesn't make any
this
sense.
Restoration power is crazy. Like if it can literally rebuild organs, at that point, then like, can they just go into a cemetery, petrify everybody in there, and just bring them back? Like,
who knows? And who knows about degradation and all of this? It doesn't make any sense. But then that's not even the worst thing. So you've got Tsukasa has been stabbed through the lung, which, okay, why is he still talking? Still doesn't make any sense. Still, like, biologically does not make any sense. But okay. So they do some kind of emergency surgery thing where they like close his wound to try to help him survive a little bit. And then they decide they're going to try to cryo-freeze him. Let me just preface this with, cryo-freezing doesn't work with current technology. Now, you could argue maybe Dr. Stone is set in the future from us, But he's doing this in the Stone Age. And that you
Yeah.
can't just put someone's body in a freezer, okay? That's not
Come
how any
on,
of
they
this
did it to
works.
Walt Disney, right? Right?
It's not how it works. You get ice crystals in your blood and in your brain, and it ruins any chance of you ever reviving. Like, cryoness is not like a science that actually is proven at this point in time. So, and then he possibly already died, and they're just freezing his body, which means they're going to resurrect him later
Yeah.
with the Medusa thing. And then you've got it in like a stone coffin, which also isn't airtight. There's a lot wrong with this, okay? Like none of it makes any
I mean,
sense.
we're
And I
bringing
just
people back from the dead. Like at a certain point, you just gotta run with it. Like, the show is
uh,
built on science, but at this point, it's like, I mean, like at this point, they're just Steins gating it. Like, it doesn't matter if it's possible. It's just like it's entertaining.
it doesn't
Like,
matter if it's possible. Okay, okay. Yeah, I
being,
this is the part of the show I don't like. So I don't know. When are we get the new season? Is that in the fall or something?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the dates were announced, but you know they're gonna make another one.
Well, they've already announced. Like,
They
they've already
didn't. They
said the
didn't
next
never
season
land this
will
thing.
be X. Yeah, we'll get there. Don't worry, we're gonna get there. I got a lot of opinions about Promise Neverland, and not any of them are good. None of them are good. So you know.
Yeah.
However,
Heaven's
August will be
design
better
team. All right.
soon.
So design team was pretty good. Um,
Yeah, I didn't like that it was a misdirect. You're supposed to meet God in the end of the last episode, but then they come through with this giant bird creature that plays a playback of God's voice telling them stuff and predicting that was Shimoda or whoever was making. It's not Shimoda, is it? No, Shimoda's the guy.
uh,
Neptune was making
yeah,
the
Neptune.
bunny. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, I knew you were gonna make the bunny, and I knew you're faking it, and it's okay.
But he
And
had like
then
an
and then
actual
they went,
conversation because he was like the voice of
yeah,
God came down and was like, "Hey, I see that Neptune is here. I'm glad that you're not like sick, right?" Like
yeah,
he said, "I see that you're here." He didn't say, "I know Neptune isn't sick." Like he was having a conversation, and then like the
yeah,
little bing, the ding sound happened, and you're like, "Oh, it's just a recording. You can't have a conversation," even though God was literally having an actual in real time conversation with you just now. But whatever,
yeah.
it's fine.
Well, it's okay because the Hell guy is a much better client anyway.
He
Like we've
is.
established that the God is a terrible
So
client, and it's just what it is.
even not only as a client, but also as an invited guest. Guest. You all right, right? So you show up, and then like as you're about to walk through the door, you're like, nah, I got something else to do, and you leave, right? You leave, right?
Yeah,
And then you be like, oh, but I have a present, but I haven't made the present yet, and the people that's already here enjoying their time off, enjoying the party, I said present that I didn't make beforehand, and I didn't even show up to tell you that I didn't bring your present. Like that's like he's a bad invited guest.
he is. He absolutely is. He's the worst. I did like the second half of this episode where they go through the preliminary sketches of the different animals and they have him guess what the animal is based on all the stuff you've learned through the show about how,
Yeah,
like the legs can't be this long and it can't do this because of this reason. And it's almost like you read in a textbook and at the end of the chapter it gives you like a little quiz on what you've learned throughout the thing. That's what it felt like. Um,
yeah. I
but they
totally
talk about
called.
how
I
they
totally called what
designed
direction they
him.
were going in, though. I totally called that it
Yeah.
was going to be Shimada.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was cute. I mean, it was pretty cute. Although horse guy's like trying to eat him with a dinosaur, and I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty rude, honestly. Like what for
Yeah,
what? Like, come on. Like, why are you trying to scare him? He's hiding under the table, and no one's helping him. They're like, oh, whatever. This is massive Tyrannosaurus Rex just walking casually through the office. Nothing to be concerned about. He's an angel.
this is the only show that we will have one more episode of, and we'll talk about it the next time we have. Just at the very beginning, we'll talk about the last episode, because apparently another episode, a 13th episode aired. So yay!
Yeah, it was a surprise episode because all the information that like all the networks got, all like the anime like websites had only listed it as only having 12 episodes, and so they just dropped the 13th episode on April Fool's Day. It's like, oh, Okay.
Hey, I'm all for it. I liked the show. I look forward to the last episode. So now let's
Yeah.
get to a show that I don't like.
Okay. So we're
All
on
right.
Neverland.
I need to hear your opinions first, and then I'm going to tell you about the manga. So listen to Erik, and then if
So
you don't want manga spoilers, don't listen to me. But I have a lot
okay,
of
so
opinions, and I'm going to tell you why this is
I did.
garbage.
So before I did watch. So Mother's Basement did a review of the final episode of Neverland and a kind of overarching view of the second season. So I did see like what this image means. The image you have on screen right now. Um,
Mm,
before I watched that, my general opinion was as as an anime as anime second season, it wasn't great, but I've seen much worse. Like as something existing in its own bubble and not like one of the most popular manga, one of the most anticipated shows of the season, like like as something that just exists, right? It's not. It's okay. It's like it's bad and at the most part, it's just really disappointing that it sets up a lot of things and it doesn't follow through with most of it. So as an anime only watcher, I think even anime only watchers can see that there's lots of things that like just is not being explained or not being like
mhm.
expanded upon, and they clearly are setting up things they're just leaving hanging. Like Mujika giving Emma her necklace, just so many things around Peter Ratchery, just like not even like getting any
Mhm.
information
Mhm.
on, right? So as even as an anime only watcher, you can still say it's still fair to be disappointed and say, hey, man, I wish there was more. I wish these right, but I don't think that it's like god awful. But
Well,
as a
it's
manga,
not
as a,
Yashahime.
yeah, as an adaptation from a manga, it is a pretty terrible adaptation from when you look at it from that lens. Like to
Mhm.
take so much potential and so many storylines that could happen and to just throw them away and to like actually take storylines that could have been done and just like rewrite them in a worse way when it could have been done just as easily the right way. Like it's a pretty terrible adaptation from a manga, but just a standalone, it's like it's okay.
Well, okay. I think from a standalone anime, it didn't even make sense, right? So you're missing a lot of stuff here. So some of the stuff you could miss and it didn't affect too much. People were pissed off because it was good characters, but it didn't affect too much. Like when they first get to the underground bunker, they find a guy there who's older than them from another class of people that escaped, and all of his other classmates were killed in the Goldie Pond arc. They find this guy and he's really cynical and he's kind of a jerk at first, and then he becomes part of their team and he becomes like a father figure and stuff like that, and I think he winds up getting killed. And but everybody else on his team that escaped with him from another farm died in this hunting thing, where there's like this whole other area where the demons have found several of the escaped children and they're hunting them. And every day they start the hunt at a certain time and they end the hunt at a certain time. And the kids there that have survived, because they just live there, I mean, they can't leave, uh but it's like a hunting game thing for like big game hunters in the demon world, and they learn to kill demons, and that's actually pretty crucial for how the kids later learn how to kill the demons when they're so much bigger than them and stronger than them in a lot of ways too. But you meet some other people in that kind of area that come back with them, and there's like a whole lot of time, and I think the time makes a really big difference too, because all of this happens before they meet up with Norman again. And then Norman's whole crew has a lot of backstory that they didn't even touch on or talk about. But I all of that doesn't matter as much for like the main storyline, but the parts they left out of this episode certainly it made it suffer from a narrative perspective. So you've got they go through this portal to go back. Well, in the manga, the portal was broken, and Emma finds her way to this creature who is the person, like the god, basically. And this is who split the two worlds apart with the agreement. And Emma makes a new agreement that they can go back, and that all the humans that are in the demon world can go back after they find out about Mujika's blood and stuff like that. But her deal is when they go back, she will not remember any of the people that she knows. She gave up all of her memories, like her personal memories, in order to get them back. and she makes a deal, and you don't know this until the very end of the series, right? And so they eventually, like, this comes to pass, and this guy sends everybody back to where they're supposed to be, and all the kids show up in like New York City or something, and she shows up in like the northern part of the earth or something, like in maybe Alaska. And they wind up tracking her down over several years. Like, it's a short thing. Like in the manga, it's like one chapter kind of worth of thing when they track her down. But at the very end, they find her. There's other things that were not as impactful in this. Mother Isabel dies in the manga. She dies saving them all, and it makes more sense because she spent a lot of time trying to undermine them, and then she like sacrifices herself. It's yeah. Okay. You're at Anime Book Club, and yeah, you're getting spoiled for the manga for this because the show is over and they're not making any more of it. So hate to tell you that, but it's kind of what you signed up for because we're talking about the newest episodes of everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it is what it is. But you should still read the manga because it's much better than the anime. But it doesn't make sense. So like in this one, it's very glossed over. Mujika has the magical blood, and we've established that in the show, right? But what you don't establish is there are 5 different demon bloodline nobles that basically rule the world, and then also the queen. And the queen has 3 demon cores. So later they fight her, and you have to kill like all 3 of her demon cores, and she keeps regenerating, and she's like super duper tough. And like there's a ton of political intrigue where Peter Rattray's involved and Norman is involved, and they have to like coordinate to where they turn all of these nobles against each other, right? And all of the nobles wind up getting in a fight, and a lot of them kill each other, but they still have to fight the queen, and in the end they fight the queen. But since there's a power vacuum, they've laid the groundwork with propaganda to tell people about Mujika and the blood to make people okay with it, because there was a lot of propaganda on the other side that said that evil blood is bad for you, and we're going to kill everybody that has evil blood. And they took a long time to like get that propaganda out, where that people didn't like it. And then so on the other side, they made sure the propaganda went out that people did like it. And then after the queen is dead, Mujika fills the power vacuum and becomes the monarch so that she can actually distribute the blood and save the people. And there's a lot of the manga that they just didn't do. Like, didn't do at all. And it's just like the narrative suffers for it, because how would you have known that? Like, there's no way she could have gotten to all of these people because they have to eat every day. And I mean, this is a whole world of demons. And you just have none of that context whatsoever in this episode. They just, oh, yep, I guess we're done, Peace out.
Yeah, so Mother's Basement had a theory that the reason why season 2 was rushed may have been to just get to this point. Just get to the point where Phil and the rest of the kids went through the portal to the demon world. Season 2 may have been rushed just to get to that point, and they may have had intentions for a 3rd season to do like everything that you described could have been its own season, and probably even more, honestly, right? So they may have just wanted to rerun season 2, but reception of season 2 was so bad that they may have just like, you know what, we ruined it. Like it's over. Well, and they may have just tacked on the 2-minute slideshow at the very end.
All of this political stuff needed to happen before they moved to the other world, honestly, based on the manga and stuff. But they cut a lot of characters people liked. But my problem with it is they cut a lot of narrative that would have made the show make more sense. And it just didn't. I mean, if you're an anime only person, how do you know even what this is? Like, you have no idea. There's no explanation. There's no text.
Yeah, there's no real reason to have this scene in there at all, honestly.
Yeah.
Because it was just a still, like it literally is just a still image. Because the last 2 minutes was a slideshow. So I don't know. I kind of think they might have wanted to do a 3rd season, but then like realize it's not going to happen. And if they had ended with Phil escaping, I think I think people wouldn't have been as mad. I think people would have tried to understand that they just wanted to get to that point, and I think that they could have kind of saved their image a little bit, because the last 2 episodes, I think some of the production staff were like, hey, don't even put our name in the credits. and it was at least like 2 or 3 people that were missing from the opening credits because they were like, I don't know about
It's
this.
bad. It's insulting. This was a huge manga. This was a Shonen Jump like title manga kind of thing. I mean, it was really big and it was really well received and it sold a lot of books. And this is insulting. This is insulting to the narrative like that was
Yeah,
written.
I think so, but like I think at the like I'm not really that mad at them. I wish they had done a third season, but I'm not mad at them for like the cuts they made to season 2 simply because from what I hear, season 2 had like another 20 characters that you would have had to had introduced at the very
Yeah.
minimum, and there's so much stuff that would have been able like I think Neverland could have been a good show if it had aired kind of like I don't know, maybe Soul Eater or it's just a show that kept going on for a
Right.
period of
Well,
time because
okay,
right
so
now they were in a
you
situation where season 1 came out like all these years ago, season 2 came out now, season 3 probably would have taken another 2 or 3 years, and it's like at a certain point you're spanning a fairly in terms of episodes, a fairly short show because like compared to like Naruto or something, a fairly limited number of episodes over what 8 years, like Titan, you
well,
know?
I would agree with you if it didn't have natural breaks, right? You could have done from when they like found the bunker all the way to Goldie Pond in one season and then ended with them finding Norman and then had a whole nother season where Norman's whole plan goes off and then they do all the political stuff with Peter Ratcher or against Peter Ratchery and all of the political stuff with the demons and the whole demon culture. I think you could have done this show in 3 seasons significantly better. Like
Yeah.
significantly. And it just it's upsetting that it was so bad compared to the manga. Now, is it as bad a show as Yashahime? No, it's not. Like if you just watch the anime, Yashahime was significantly worse. Significantly. This is
At the
it
very
but
least, Neverland had a goal and it had direction. It might not have been direction you wanted to see it, but you could understand that every episode was important and every episode moved the needle somewhere. Yashahime
yeah.
is like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going forward or
Jump over
backwards
here,
at this
jump over
point.
here, jump
Like
over here.
it's
Yeah.
like
Oh,
is Moroha turning into a demon or losing control or not? Like we don't even know. Like we really don't
who
know.
knows? Who knows? But I'm mad about Promise Neverland. Erik, you should really read the manga. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna get
read the
around to
manga.
it. Like
It's worth your time. You're gonna be like, wow, there was a lot here. I mean, it's a lot. It's so much.
yeah.
Like, you don't think you even needed it to go on for like a long time. I think you could have done it in 3 seasons and it would have been okay. But whatever. They squandered their opportunity.
Yeah.
Oh, quintuplets.
We have quintuplets. Quintuplets, on the other hand, is getting a season 3.
It is.
Um,
It seems like a completely unnecessary season 3, but a season 3 nonetheless. I guess that's where we're at. Needed one for
so
Promise Neverland. Didn't get one. Didn't need one for this show. Definitely getting one.
so
Thanks,
like
Japan.
this quintuplets like this episode was I think this episode was good. I just wish that it hadn't I wish that it hadn't set up a whole nother season. I feel like the gimmick of this show is you don't know who the mystery girl is. And
Yeah.
that was the hook. Like in the very beginning, the very first scene of season 1 is the wedding scene, and you see him getting married to one of the girls, and right before they're about to like pull over her veil and reveal who it is, like it cuts, and then you get to see, oh, this is the story about how I met my wife, right? So
Yeah.
that was the hook of season 1, and it was a really good hook. Season 1 had a lot of big fan base. They also went out of their way in order to like all the voice actors, all the female voice actors are like top tier. There's like the voice actor for Monica's in here. Have like big shows under their belt, so they made sure that they
Yeah.
just cram packed the talent as much as they could. And so I feel like season 1 was pretty good, and season 2 kind of like falls back on tropes a little bit. It falls on tropes,
This,
fall back on tropes a lot more than season 1 did, and
well,
that's where it kind of like falls off.
this episode was full of tropes. Like this episode had more tropey bullshit than any episode we've seen all season, in my opinion. Like there was a lot. It was one big trope. And in the end, it was a misdirect. Oh no, I was pointing to my sisters. I didn't mean it. Miku, you need to stand up for yourself. Because if you'd have said you meant him, you would have won him right there. And I'm upset by that.
I
I'm
don't
not
think
even a
so.
Miku fan like you are. I think she would have won him
You know,
right
maybe,
here.
maybe.
Because he knew she liked him and she's confident and she spent all day with him. Yeah. Yep. He would have had like another episode or two and he's like, I'm gonna try to give this a try. And then she would have won him, and I'm upset. Because it would have been great. Like this scene right here was great. All right. It was great. And
Yeah,
then
I
they
mean
totally missed
that was a pretty good confession. It would have been nice if it had ended there and Miku being the winner. I would have died happy. Lay me in the ground right now. I'm done. Miku won. I would have been so happy. But no. I think at this
Yeah.
point, I feel like this scene was almost the show's way of telling you, all right, this is Miku's last big moment. You'll never see her again.
Yep. I feel like she's out of the running, man. She's out of the running now. She
Like
could have
she
had it
literally
all.
threw away her shot. She literally threw it away.
Yep.
And she's
She
not going to
flies.
get
She flew
another.
too close to the sun. She flew too close, man.
Yeah, but
I'm
this
glad that
episode
I
had a
never have to
few.
watch this
Oh, you
again.
can go.
I said I'm happy I never have to watch the show again because I'm not watching the third season. No,
I'm
thank
gonna
you.
watch season. I think I'm gonna watch it. So this episode did end with a few setups for season 3. At towards the end, like after Miku confesses and she plays it off saying, "No, I wasn't actually talking about you. I was talking to my family." You get to see a scene towards the end of one of the girls wearing Ichiki's hair clip, and she's wearing the hair clip,
Yeah,
and she runs and she kisses him under a giant bell. And of course,
yeah. It was
anytime they
they were
give
the
you any
episode.
like indication of a girl, it's always a misdirect. Um, but one thing they did for the first time they never actually do. Every time one of the girls speak, and it's meant to be like you can't tell who it is, they always either use like a different voice actor, or they have the voice actor like speak in a way where you can't tell. This one,
Yeah,
the girl gasped. She let out a gasp when she tripped, and it's very clear of which one of the girls that voice was. And this was the first time where they kind of gave you like a clue about who they were trying to misdirect you from. And then they did it one more time where at the very end you get to see the wedding scene, but this time instead of trying to like be a misdirect for Ichiki, the girl is wearing Ichika's like her earring that she always wears. And so that was another misdirect where they say, "Oh, it's either going to be Ichika or Ichiki." No.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
season 3, I will watch it.
You have fun with that. You have fun. Speaking of better shows that we're going to continue next season, Spider. I didn't find a good
Yeah.
picture from Spider this week, so this is the promo image for like the second core. At least the
Yeah,
one that
so
was going
Spider's going to take a
around.
week off. It's going to take a
Yep.
week off and be
This
back Friday after next, or next Friday actually. Yeah.
she fought the Earth Dragon today, or this week, and it was
Yeah.
pretty great. Not gonna lie, it was pretty great.
Yeah, like
The Earth
man, the
Dragon was
fighting
pretty
scenes in this
OP.
is really good.
Yeah. What else do we have? We had the Earth Dragon and
So we get to see the fight scene, but we also get to see her like kind of like we saw her preparing for the fight last episode. But during this episode was mostly the fight, and we get to see how the dragon spent the dragon had been sitting on 40,000 skill points.
yeah, and
40,000
used them
skill
all.
points. Just yeah, he was like, whatever. I'm already the like the baddest guy in this cave. What do I need to level up for? And then he finally saw a
Yep.
threat, and he's like, all right, time to cash in. And he leveled up specifically to hard counter her, and all her attacks
Yep.
that she was banking on and prepared for suddenly became useless. And it was such a good battle because like both of them were trying just like you could tell that both her and the dragon understood, hey, if I mess up here, I want to die. So both of them are literally fighting for their lives, and it was
Yep.
really fun. And you get
Was
to
she
see
blew out two of her eyes, and then like she got like the back half of her body bitten off, and
yeah.
yeah, it was an exciting fight.
And so she ends up winning by before the fight even started. She cast a spell that she had recently learned that increases your HP, MP, and SP usage. And so your HP, just your health, obviously. MP is your magic points and your ability to do abilities, and SP is like your life energy. And so that's like if you go too long without eating, then your SP drops. So what she tricked him into doing is she tricked him into using up so many skills that it started to drain his SP. And once your SP
Yep.
hit zero, you die. And so he wasn't paying attention. So he finally did his final attack, and that drained the last bit of his SP, and he was just done for. So like, and then you get to see him stand up and realize, all right, I lost fair and square. All right, it's over. And he was this proud dragon that was like, oh,
Yeah.
good fight. And
It
I'm
was
like,
it was really cool.
Kumiko, don't kill him. Let him live. He deserves to live after that. Like he didn't life. He didn't die like trying to be sneaky or trying to backstab her. He was like, nah, good fight. And I was like, dang, what a bro.
It was great. No, it was great. I feel like on the human side, they're really trying to give you a lot of direction that Kumiko is related to both somehow the dark haired girl in the top and the white haired girl with the special abilities that maybe killed Julian, but maybe not. I still don't think Julian is dead.
Yeah,
So they're
so
really doing a lot. Like the black haired girl was like, I remember when I fought an Earth Dragon one time, like right after this fight, and it's like, oh, are we setting that up a little bit? Because it feels a little on the nose, you know?
So one thing that happened in that conversation. So the demon lord, the demon queen, was saying that yeah, I fought Earth Dragon a long time ago, but the reflection in all of the mirrors. If you looked at all the like
Yep.
windows in every scene, it had the white hair
That
girl's reflection
white
in it,
haired girl.
and
Yep.
so I'm thinking because last episode we saw that the white haired girl had all these irises in her eye, like 6 per eye,
Yep.
and she's the one that used the rod attack that we just saw that Kumiko learned. I'm thinking that white haired girl might actually be like a parallel mind that kind of pulled like a slime. Like Spider and slime literally are going in the exact same path, right? So like I
Yeah.
feel like just like how slime now has like an extra like mind and body that can take over. I think the white hair girl is just like another being for her, and and Kumiko is actually both of them, which it would be
Yeah.
pretty interesting. I've never
Yeah.
seen
I
a
agree.
show. I've never seen a show where part of the gimmick is trying to figure out who the main character is. Like
Yeah.
that's an interesting gimmick for a show, and I'm really looking forward to like the next core.
Me too. Me too. I'm very excited about it too. Horimiya. So
All right.
Horimiya was about Christmas. Christmas is a good
Yeah.
way to end the season. And Hori's family definitely loves Miyamura probably more than Hori does. They're far too
Yeah.
excited. They try to get him basically fired from his job by staying with them all night on Christmas, even though it was his job. Earlier in the episode, Toru needs to get his nonsense together, put it in a bag, get it together. I'm just saying. He's like,
Yeah.
I like
I
the
was.
way
I was.
I am with Yuki. I don't want to get off
So
your butt, you jerk bag. Just
there was a
date her.
there was a scene in the beginning where Toru was talking to his friends, and everyone's like just casually talking, and they're like, "Yeah, you're dating Yuki, right?" And says, "No, no, we're more than friends. We're not dating." And everybody's like, "What? What? What?
Yeah,
What?"
and there's really they're like, eh, eh,
Yeah, it's
eh.
like we're like, wait a minute, what did you just say? What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. What do you mean?
Yeah, it doesn't.
and so
It doesn't make
and
any
so
sense.
and so I mean, on one hand, I get it. Like he's like he's fine with what they have right now, and so I think that's understandable. Because I just think that he needs to be a little bit more considerate of Yuki because I don't think it's because he needs to be extra considerate of Yuki because Yuki's the type of person who would want something, but she's not going to ask for it if she doesn't think that she doesn't
Yeah,
deserve it,
yeah.
or if she
Her
doesn't think
sister
that
said
it's going to
specifically
happen.
that. Yeah,
So it's
yeah. Her
like
sister
he
said
need he
specifically
need like
that.
he needs to like ask her, hey, like, are you okay with it? Like he needs to even be kind of almost forceful about it because like he can literally ask her, are you okay with this? And she'll just say, yeah, even though she's not, you know. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
At the end of the
that was
episode, we
weird.
had the big reveal where Miyamura proposed to Hori because Hori is concerned about them graduating and what they're going to do. So, but it was actually really funny because when he proposed, he said, Yoroshiku onegaishimasu, which is like what you say when you start a new job, and it's like, please take
Oh yeah,
care of me.
yeah.
I'll try to do really well in this job. And it's
And
like,
they even like
how is
bow.
that
They
super
even bowed.
appropriate for you to say after, yeah, like after a marriage proposal? So,
Yeah, like I
but
mean,
it's where everybody thought
and
this was going. It was, I mean, it was cute enough. I'm really invested in Toru and Yuki more than I am in Hori and Miyamura now, so I don't really
yeah,
care as much.
I like that the relationship between Hori and Miyamura is tied up because they weren't even like the interesting part of the show anymore. And I like that Hori was like, "I'll make you happy," and then Miyamura was like, "Wait a minute, hold on." The guy says that to the girl. You don't say it to me, and he's like, "No, no," but like I'm like really like obnoxious and like I don't get along well with people like. So I have to go out of my way to say it because I know you'll make me happy. Like it's like I have to try. So it's like
Yeah.
that it was like yeah because you kind of been like a little terrible the last couple episodes. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so we get that.
I'm.
Um,
This was
and it was like
definitely
you
end
get
of
to see a lot of different
season.
relationships in this episode, like because everybody the whole premise of this episode is that everyone is spending time with each other. Like even like the
Yep.
characters that aren't in relationships are spending time with their family. A lot of them are spending time with their siblings, and the ones that
Yep.
are like the student council president and Remy had this thing where Remy was like, "Hey, are you coming over my place for Christmas?" And he's like, "No, I'm not. Your room has bugs in it. Like your room has like a bug. You have a bug
Like bugs
collection.
on
Like
the
I'm not
wall with
doing that."
needles and dead bugs. Yeah.
And I'm like, and on one hand, you should suck it up. Like just stay in like the living room. Like just like find a way to work it out. But on the other hand, Remy, like you literally was like, "Hey, I'm comfortable in my room. I don't want to leave. I kind of just want to stay in my room and hang out. How about you go over his place? Like, how come he has to be uncomfortable if you're like, no,
Yeah.
no, we're just doing it in my room? Like, come on, like."
Yeah. 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 There could have been
So
more
I was kind of mad at Remy
negotiation
for
there.
that.
Yeah. This is definitely the last one of the season. I don't know if we're getting another season of this. It felt pretty final, so I don't know. I
Yeah,
guess we'll see.
I don't know. I mean, most shows don't even get to this point. Like they
Yeah.
proposed and spent New Year's together. Most shows like they kissed. Oh, season finale, it's
Yeah.
over. They kissed. Oh, we got over this monstrous like this huge hurdle. They kissed. Oh, oh, youth and romance is so sweet. And it was like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
So I appreciate this
Well,
show was like, hey, here's the full relationship.
yeah. Skate was okay. Do we have another episode of
We
Skate?
got
Because I
another
feel like
relationship. We got
yeah,
another
they're in
relationship.
lesbians. I love it. They're so in
Oh my
lesbians.
god.
Recky pulled it out.
Oh my
Adam's
god.
like, oh, Shadow is hurt. I'm gonna invite this redhead kid who's like the snake in the garden, and he's gonna interrupt my stuff. And then Recky's like, nah. I'm gonna do some weird move with grooved wheels because I know it's gonna rain, and I'm gonna screw him up. He didn't
Like
even win. He's like photo finish. He didn't even win, but it didn't matter because everybody there is just about hubris. So they all boo Adam, even though Adam won. They just boo
so
Adam.
I mean, so it's funny. It's funny how the crowd didn't lose respect for Adam when he picked up a skateboard and beat
Just
Cherry
beat
unconscious.
Cherry in
Right?
the face.
Right?
Yeah,
Like
but they did when he
even
lost.
Cherry's
When he was
fans
about
weren't
to
like,
lose the
"Oh,
match.
like even Cherry's fans were like, "Oh, we got to get this man. We got to like kill it. Like this man just like almost killed Cherry." No, but when Adam slips and falls in the rain, they're like, "Look at that loser! My God, he fell
They just
twice
laugh at
in
it.
the
It's
rain.
great.
Oh
It is
boy, what
absolutely
a
great.
loser!" And I'm like, "Come on, guys."
Oh my god, your
So
poor
it's
boy
like,
Shadow is in the hospital watching all this on drone cameras, and I love it. I love it. He's
yeah,
so invested.
Shadow's the best. At first, I thought when I first I didn't realize that he had a drone in his room and a projector, and I thought he was watching TV. And I was like, but wait a minute, how are they like broadcasting it. Shadow's like so OP. He has his own drone and getting his own signal. Like, bro. Shadow is the Steve
What?
Harrington of this show. He's not going to let his kids do this alone. He's going to make sure he watches them to the end. And I'm like, my
He's
God, I
not.
love you.
Okay, so do we get
He
another
cheered for them
episode of
so
this?
loud.
I feel like we need one more episode. I don't know, like, because we haven't gotten to the end of the matches, and it's only at 11 because we had that recap episode. Do we get another episode of Skate?
I'm not sure. Probably. I'm not sure though.
I hope we do.
Yeah, so this is good.
But,
this was a good one.
yeah. All right, Titan. We hit the end of the first section of the final season, which was such a crappy misdirect. Oh, it's the final season, except that half of it's going to air like July or something. It's not really the final season. It's the first half.
It's not airing in July. It's airing
next year. It's next year, yeah.
Yeah, July of next year. Yeah. So it's like
Yeah,
a full year away.
That's crap. They should not have called this the final season. That was crap. That was a crappy.
Yeah, I mean everybody knew it, but it was I think it. So in a sense it was successful marketing because you had all the companies like Crunchyroll, Funimation, everybody saying, "Oh, get ready! It's the final Attack on Titan episode." And everyone's just promoting it, and we all know it's not really the final.
Right.
Like we all know, but whatever. So I guess it's still it's successful marketing, even if it is an intentional and obvious misdirect. But whatever.
No,
They should have just. Yeah, I mean it's fine. I'm not mad at them, but it is a very Attack on Titan thing to like wait a whole year in between, like have this particular cliffhanger and have to wait a whole year and like 3 months before you get a resolution. That's a very Attack on Titan thing to do.
Yeah. So in this episode, you've got a lot of people that are very bad at subterfuge. Like Peak shows up and tries to turn on Marlians and lead Eren to secret or people that are hiding. Except she doesn't, and everybody knows that she's not actually turning, and it's super duper obvious. Then you have another scene
Okay,
where
so I actually did believe Peak when she was listing her reasons and she was saying, "Oh yeah, when I like the Marlians are gonna like kill us in a little bit because like we're not even useful anymore." I believe her logic made so much sense, right? Her logic for betraying them made so much sense. I was like, okay, it's a little weird you would turn like this fast, but after watching Neverland, I was like, I've seen slower. Like this isn't like crazy fast development, so it's like, okay, fine, we're good,
Neverland has ruined
you switch
everything for
sides.
you. I like that.
So I believed her.
No,
And she is really lucky. She's really lucky that she presented that argument to Gabby, and Gabby didn't shoot her in the face right then and there. Gabby has
yeah,
like
no, Gabby's
6,
a
7
little unhinged.
episodes.
Yeah. Well, and then you've got Armin who hears about this plan about destroying his whole basic like people, and then he starts crying because he's so happy and it's so great. Come on.
So he cries in his hand, and so Armin may have bit his hand in order to like be ready. I don't know what Armin's going to do because he was like, yeah, when I transform, it's not just transforming, it's me transforming and the nuclear bomb gets activated, right? So it's like, so I don't know what Armin is planning right now.
Armin is gonna bust out. It's clearly a misdirect, and yeah, no, abso-freaking-lutely. I still don't think that this makes a lot of sense from Eren's point of view. We haven't gotten anything more that suggests it makes more sense from Eren's point of view. We're just kind of
we did get kind of like plot confirmation that something like Eren has another plan because when they were in the jail, they were like, hey, Eren wouldn't just say he hates Mikasa. Like clearly he's doing something, and for them to mention it like that is pretty good confirmation that Eren has some other plan.
Right. Absolutely.
So and there's a lot of pieces in motion right now, like Zeke. So we saw that Zeke got wounded in the last episode, but a Titan came up and put him in their stomach. Like they didn't eat him. They literally gouged out their own stomach and put Zeke inside. I don't know why that's necessary. I don't know why you can't just carry him, but it did remind me of the time in season 1 where Eren got eaten, but he didn't get like chewed up. Like he got eaten whole, almost whole. They bit off his arm, so he was
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
Titan's belly, and he was able to come out of that. Like he literally became a Titan inside the belly. So
yeah.
I don't know if being inside another Titan might speed up your regenerative powers. Maybe they're trying to heal Zeke. Maybe there's a possibility he's not going to die. We know Zeke. We know Falco has to get the power somehow.
Oh
Like
yeah, no,
they're
I think
propping
Falco's
Falco
gonna be
up.
the one who eats Zeke. I feel like that's where we're going with this, but I mean, we're not gonna find out
Yeah.
for another friggin' year because there was, oh, it's the final season, except that it's not even close.
Yeah. At this point, I mean, I guess if they like at this point, I almost wish that they had just like waited and just air them both together. But also at the same time, people were pretty fed up with like the initial wait for from between season 1 and season 2 was so long that I feel
Yeah,
like they might be pressured to be like, hey, we need to get content out like somewhat consistently. We can't take 2-year breaks. So,
yeah, no, that makes sense. Oh, Wonder Egg. So Wonder Egg
all
had
right.
a final episode, but then we're getting another episode in June. So
Yeah. So what happened was with the time when they took a week off before Cloverworks got to the end of their scheduled episodes. So it's probably the June episode is probably the week in between another season. Like it's probably this time slot in between two other animes that are going on
right,
hiatus at that time.
yeah, yeah.
So
In
this episode was
this
not
one,
our true finale, but it does have some kind of like finishing like vibes in a sense. It's like, oh, this is
I
a
mean,
cliffhanger that we gotta
vibes.
like wait
That's a
for and
nice
like be ready for it.
That's a nice way to put it because they answered no questions. Basically, all the questions we've been setting up all season, and they answered basically none of them. Like, it was, I'm
Yeah,
not saying it wasn't a good episode, but they answered nothing. This is being the last episode, technically, I guess, of sort of the season. They answered absolutely nothing. So,
yeah.
this was all about I. Um, I gets an egg that is herself
And
from
I
a
loses her
different
eye.
dimension. Yeah, and the other her gets her eye cut out. And they made a point that they only their eyes and their hearts are not safe in the
Yeah,
dream egg world. So yeah,
yeah.
now
So it.
and you have to go ahead.
Oh, I'm saying so. Like throughout the episode, I mean, this episode really was kind of like confirming or a lot of things that were like suspicious of I. Like this was a hard confirmation that Sawaki, Mr. Sawaki was the person that I fell in love with, and it confirmed
Yeah,
like kind of like the kind of like I guess weird tension that she had with her best friend, where they both love the same guy. And I mean, we already kind of like knew this at this point, but like they were still like they still kind of left it unanswered, and so we get to
yeah,
see
yeah,
that I herself was also suicidal, and in another timeline she would have killed herself if she hadn't had at least her friend to confide in. Um,
right. She
and
didn't have any of her
so
friends too because she didn't have the other girl, and then she didn't have all the people from Wonder Egg. And she's like, "You have that
yeah,
many friends?" And she's like, "Yeah, I do." And yeah,
I
it
was
was
I was
interesting.
expecting I was expecting alternate universe I to be like jealous or upset, but it's like because they're the same person, they were actually supportive of each other. Like main
Yeah,
eye was understanding, like, yeah, I really do understand what you're feeling. Like we literally been through this exact same thing. And she was like, man, I could have been you. And then the other eye, the alternate universe eye was like, I could have been you. Like I want to grow up to be I wish I grew up to be like the strong version of
yeah,
myself where like you could fight these things
yeah,
and you can be supportive and you can actually have friends and like be out in society. So it was really
yeah.
weird. It was, I mean, not weird, but it was nice to see I literally confront herself. Um
Yeah. No, and it was a good episode, but it certainly had no conclusive anything. You didn't find anything more
yeah.
about Frill. You didn't find anything more about the Aka dudes. You got like the PTSD from the other two girls that lost their creatures. So I was like really testy about bringing out Leon because she's like, I don't want to, cause you
Yeah.
killed the other
Like
ones, and it's like,
like Rika's reaction makes perfect sense. Like Rika's everything about Rika makes perfect sense. Mamoru, I don't understand because Rika was like,
you mean
"Hey,
Malloy?
yeah, oh yeah," but Momoe, Rika was like, "Hey, you got attacked and your pet got killed, and you understand that we're all doing the exact same thing you're doing. Why didn't you at least be like put out a PSA and say, "Hey, guys, maybe we need to not do this for a little bit. Like, she
Yeah.
was like, hey, we're friends. You could have said this is dangerous. We weren't even like aware of the situation. And Momoa is like,
Yeah.
well, how come you didn't call me? And I'm like, what do you mean? We have a meeting spot. We have a place where we
Yeah.
go. You weren't
That's
there.
true. Yeah. No, and yeah. We ideally we'll get some answers in June.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
There's a lot left
this
hanging, so
this episode ends, with both eyes pretty much fighting Sawaki. I'm kind of disappointed that unlike the previous girls and eggs, they always had a weapon that I get to pick. I picks up their weapon and she gets to use their weapon as
yeah.
well. I'm mad that alternate universe I didn't have the exact same weapon and we didn't get to see dual wielding her blades.
Yeah,
Um,
like Rika does.
but
Or
yeah, I'm kind of disappointed by that. But at the very end, after I defeats the Dream World version of Sawaki, her friend comes back and she just like the other girl, she disappears, and then I is finally like, okay, I done this. But then the monster shows up, and she attacks main eye. Okay, I'm gonna have to just refer at this point. I'm gonna have to refer to them as main and AU. She attacks
hey,
main,
yep.
and her eye comes out, right? And so because of that, main is laying on the ground, and AU walks up, and it seems that AU made a deal or a trade where she offered up her because the monster said I like shiny things. So it seems AU offered up her other eye in order to kind of get the monster to go away. And then when
Mm-hmm.
Maine walks up, she grabs one of her eyes. She grabs the eye that didn't get injured, right? And then you realize
Yeah.
that there are tears coming out of it because it seems that the monster probably took Maine's eye in the dream world, and so her in the real world, her eye literally doesn't function because she couldn't cry out of it. She was only crying out of her blue eye, while her
Yeah.
yellow
Mhm.
eye was completely still. And so she might have covered up her blue eye to see if she could see out of the other one. So the next
Yeah.
episode may be her trying to get her eye back. And she was really sad that her other version had to sacrifice herself in order to save her. So she's gonna have to deal with that as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
This is still probably my favorite show this season, even though we don't have a real conclusion yet. I liked it. I liked it a lot. So
yeah, yeah, we still got to see my girl. God, I keep forgetting her name. Not Homura. But yeah,
You're
in terms
Homer.
of slime,
Nehru.
yeah, Nero, I
It's
love her.
Nehru.
So
Mm-hmm.
in terms of slime, we get a slight flashback where we get to see Rimuru, and Benimaru talking about how, hey, if you become like a demon and like possibly lose yourself or maybe lose your sense of reason, we need to have a password just in case that way
Mm-hmm.
I can confirm that you're still the same guy that like set all this up. And Rimuru was like, yeah, sure, like whatever you want, we'll have a password. So the password is Shion's cooking, and Shion's cooking tastes like shit. So Rimuru
Mm-hmm.
like, whatever, man, all right, fine. Like we both know her cooking is bad. Like we'll have like a little bro meeting afterwards and like confirm this, but we're good. So then Benny
It was a
Maru
setup.
literally
It was a
like
setup
while
the
he's
whole
being held
time.
by Shion is like, hey, what about Shion's cooking? And I'm like, bro, get out of here.
Yeah. But I mean, he gets out
He's
of it
literally
okay.
Yeah, he gets out of it by throwing Benny Maru under the bus and be like, "Hey, Shion, yeah, so we have like agreement where I have to say your cooking tastes like shit." And Benny Maru is totally the guy that thought it up, right? Benny Maru, how you thought about how Shion's cooking tastes like shit and how that's your words, not mine. So like, it was a funny like the show got really serious in the last like 6 episodes, so it was fun to get that like nice comical element back into it. But
Yeah.
then it went back
You've
into
got
like serious war talk because like now the
yeah.
Animal Kingdom
Now we're in
is
another
being like
war.
devastated.
We jumped out of this conflict, and now we're in another war because little lolly chick, who's the demon master, who actually has decent clothes on now, and I'm really happy for that. Um,
Yeah,
is now like attacking people, and nobody really knows why. She attacked the other demon lord guy who went Super Saiyan 3 and got giant like blonde hair and powered up. the Beastmaster guy went and attacked the Beast Kingdom, and because Rinmaru was like asleep for 2 days after like leveling as a demon lord, now he's found out that the Beast Kingdom is like decimated because they came and attacked, and she did this like super duper dragon move and like just burninated the countryside, so to speak.
It feels like
So
Milliam was like, oh, I heard like the Tempest getting attacked and torn to pieces is the worst thing that's ever happened in like the history of this world. And Milliam was like, hold my beer. I want to go to Animal Kingdom.
Yep.
She literally like destroyed the landscape. The mountain that was there is now just a crater. The whole village is just sand at this point. So she wiped them off the map, literally. Which is a little strange. Like Milliam always liked like fighting. She always liked fighting opponents, but she's not like a bully. So it's weird that she would do this. And Rimuru kind of had to be like, yeah, that's a little weird. This is not really like this is her personality, but she wouldn't just do this out of the blue. And so he was like,
Yeah.
I think maybe something else is happening behind the scenes. And he was like, yeah, we should be cautious, but don't just throw Milliam under the buses yet.
Yeah. Well, now he's got a demon subordinate too, who's like freaking one of the legendary demons. And he's like, I really love this guy. I want to be a subordinate no matter what. And he gave him a name, and he was so honored. You gave me a name. Davi is a free elf. I mean, like, what's going on here?
In this anime, giving someone a name means that you're giving them some of you're like copying over some of your powers over to them. And so literally all the monsters in the nation of Tempest were like these low-level monsters that like could barely defend themselves. And Rimuru literally went through the process of giving them all names, right? He named every single person in the entire village. And that's why they all got gifts when he leveled up, right? But the cost of giving someone a name is that it drains some of your magic particles. So he gave everybody in the entire village a name, and he was so drained that he was asleep for like a week, right? And so that was like season 1. Now that he's like a demon lord, he has like 10 times as much like energy. Like he's just like crazy strong. And so he gives just Kuro a name. And he was like, oh man, that took half of my energy. Kuro must be like crazy strong. I remember like the other time it took me like 200 people to get through before I lost as much energy. And then like Raphael had to be like, no, you're 10 times stronger. He took like 20 times as much energy as anybody else you've ever named before. And it's like, holy moly. So now Gabriel, or is his name Gabriel? Diablo.
Diablo, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so now Kuro is now Diablo, and if he was strong before, now that he's now tired of Rimuru, he is insane. He must be insane. And the very first time we get to see this naming system was in episode 1, because Rimuru was in a cave as a normal slime, and he met this dragon called Veldora. And Veldora had been sealed in that cave for 300 years, and he was so bored and lonely for not talking to anybody for 300 years that he was like, oh, even if a slime walks up, he's going to be my best friend. I need someone to talk to. I'm going crazy inside of this cave, right? If you thought COVID isolation was bad, Veldora was like on the verge of like breaking down, right? So Veldora said, hey, slime, I'm going to give you a name. I'm going to name you Rimuru. And then we're going to make up a new family name. Me and you are going to be brothers. We're going to both have the last name Tempest, and you're going to be my brother now, right? and so Veldora, Rimuru swallowed up Veldora's entire seal and said, hey, I don't know how to free you yet, but you can live in my stomach until I figure out a way to get you out of here. And so now that Rimuru is a demon lord, the spell on Veldora now is like broken. And Veldora, this dragon that was so strong that the entire world had to band together and lock him away for 300 years, is now back in play. And it's like the nation of Tempest. The nation of Tempest is so overpowered right now. They have every overpowered person all on one side.
They do.
So it's fun. I can't wait for the next episode.
When does this show continue? Do we get a week off? What's going on here?
So they're taking a whole season off. They're actually going to be back in June. So we're gonna have to wait a little bit. But I'm so excited. Oh, then we get to this show. Okay, so Jess said this was the very worst show she's ever seen, and that's not true. This anime actually isn't terrible, right? It's bad, but it's so bad that it's hilarious, right?
No,
I enjoy watching this. I enjoyed watching this. Just
everything about this is bad.
Did you watch it in English or Japanese?
I watched in Japanese.
Okay, so
it's terrible.
The dub is bad. Like the dub feels like they put out a open letter on YouTube and said, "Hey, here's our auditions. Any random person, please come in and audition." It feels like everybody it feels like the cast is like some YouTuber fan subbers who just got their dream job. And then you listen to the voices and you're like, wait a minute, this is Bryce Papenbrook. This is Stephanie Sheh. This is like these big name voice actors in their very first roles. This was Bryce Papenbrook's second role that he ever had in 2003, and it's so much fun hearing them. And you're like, the voice, I don't remember her name, but the voice actor for Nunnally is in this. She plays the little girl with like pink hair that has like
the one with the giant bazongas?
Yes, the voice actor for Nunnally from Code Geass. And it's like, my God, it's so much fun hearing them in these roles. And they're like still a lot of them are very much still like learning and a little bit inexperienced. But like knowing who they grow up to be is like, wow.
No, this is insultingly bad. This is the worst anime I've ever put in front of my eyes in my entire life. I hate it like I hate nothing else. Okay, I hate it. I hate it.
Watch it in English. Rewatch it in English, and it's worth it.
Dude, sliding down a yogurt slide where you have to stay connected, and then when you get to the end, you're totally spent. Come on.
Okay, it feels like an abridged series. It feels like Team 4-Star was voicing this, and they put it together. All the lines, all the scripts, like the deliveries are like so like half-assed that it's like it's almost perfect.
It's
and then
so
also,
bad.
this is required viewing.
Ever made.
No, it's not. This is required viewing for every AMV editor, simply because this show was a running gag for AMV Hell. There's like 6 AMV Hell clips that all use this show in various scenes in this show, and nobody ever knew where these scenes are from because nobody watched this show. But now I finally get to know where these absurd scenes came from, and I'm glad. I'm glad you recommended this, even though you're trying to
I'm glad you like this horrific monstrosity of a show. Okay,
it's not a good show, but it's not bad and it's not terrible.
It's the worst. But the other thing that we rolled this week on the spinning the wheel, problem children are coming from another world, aren't they? AKA, why did you make this friggin' title so friggin' long? Like, this will never sell to like a general audience in the US.
Yeah,
why did you
it's unfortunate.
Before you've got like, I can't believe my sister is this cute kind of stuff. This is predates.
Because even that show can get condensed to Orimo, but I don't think this show has a proper condensed title. And so no one knows his name, and so it's hard to sell it. But this came out a whole year before the No Game No Life, and this is pretty much No Game No Life, but it doesn't sexualize the characters, right? So even the show has a lot of kind of like lolly characters.
The bunny girl. It kind of has some sexualization of the bunny girl.
Not really. I mean, it plays it set. It plays it safe, right? And so, not compared to No Game No Life, like this show is pretty tame.
Right. Yeah. No Game No Life is problematic in some ways. No, I get you. I get you entirely.
Yeah. I wish this show had gotten more publicity because it has a lot of similar vibes to No Game No Life, but a different kind of like vibe. And the characters are very different. So you get like Like the main character is just very like the main character in No Game Life is like a shut-in, and so you get to deal with like all these like, oh, they can't socialize and they have like all these issues because they can't like function as human beings sometimes. While the main character is like, no, I got this. I got this all the time, and no one can tell me I don't got it. And like all three characters are just so overconfident because they know that their abilities are just like overpowered, and they have no
Yeah.
fear of ever losing, right? And so
Yeah.
it's a different take, and I really enjoyed it. I kind of completely forgot that this show had so many vibes similar to No Game No Life, even though I watched it before
Yeah.
I watched
Yeah.
it.
It felt
So
like that kind of No Game No Life or the gambling show Kakegurui. Not as creepy as the gambling show, but that kind of like you're solving a puzzle kind of
yeah.
mentality. Yeah, you know. But I liked it. I thought it was pretty cute. I will not be finishing it, but you know, I thought it was pretty cute. It was certainly better than the other pick this week. Certainly better.
So I watched 3 episodes of this one because this show only has 10 episodes. So I'm considering watching the rest of the other 7 just because
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a fun hidden gem. I enjoyed it.
Oh, as a reminder, you can make suggestions for our spin the wheel if you look at the bit.ly at the bottom here. There's some you should read the instructions before you do it because there are some qualifications. Um, but we will be starting again either next week or the week after. We may skip a week due to there just not being a lot of anime out because the anime is also skipping a week. But we will be starting the spring season. We are going to be watching, at least to start, everything on this list. We may swap some things out depending on if something turns out to be terrible or not good to pick up or whatever. It just depends. But this is our kind of
Yeah.
initial list.
So one thing about that list is that it says reincarnated as a slime season 2, but we're probably gonna be watching the Slime Diaries instead because Slime Diaries are airing
Gotcha.
now while season 2 airs after that. So
Yeah. Yep. We are not taking suggestions for our like shows we're watching in the week, but we are taking suggestions for spin the wheel for the one that we spin at the end of the end of the episode. So I definitely want to see some weird stuff that you love that was kind of under the radar. If you think both of us have already seen it, which we've seen a lot of anime, don't suggest it. Nobody wants to watch DBZ, Sailor Moon, Fullmetal Alchemist, My Hero. We've seen those. We're not watching them. Don't suggest it. Don't put it on the list.
If you suggest Little Witch Academia, I might consider it just because it's my favorite anime.
I don't know.
Have you seen Little Witch, Jess?
Of course I've seen Little Witch. I've seen both seasons, dude. Come on.
Yeah, just making sure. Just making sure.
Well, you haven't seen my favorites. I got to put Genkutsuo and Robot Carnival on the list because apparently you haven't seen either of those. So.
I mean, you had your opportunity, but like you decided to put Inkin on there, so it's like you squandered your chances. I put Somali in the Forest Spirit, and you got. Did you finish that one?
Somali was really good. I did finish Somali, and it was really good. Now I'll put my good stuff on there next season. I like a lot of shows. I like a lot of weird stuff too. I like a lot of art house things. So I mean, they're very different, I guess, than what your traditional kind of stuff is. So I can't wait for you to try it. But thank you guys for joining us.
I was saying we learned this season that my niche picks is vampire girls though.
Yeah, cute little vampire girls. You got a lot of those. That's true. That's true. Yeah. Eric's got a type. Yeah. But we will see you guys. We'll post some information if we're coming back next week or if we're coming back the week after. But worst case, we'll see you in 2 weeks, and we can't wait. Bye.
All right. See ya.